Welcome to the Firebelly Social Show. We're focused on talking to food and beverage brands that are on a mission to make the world better.
Hey, everyone. It's another episode of the Firebelly Social Show. Welcome. This is the space where we interview leaders and founders of mission-driven food and beverage brands. It's what we love to do. It's the space we love. It's an important place for founders to share their thoughts. Nothing is too self-promotional, so please be very welcome. Today's show, we got some honorary sponsors. We're going to give this sponsorship out today to Tilden, Hoplark, and Zero Proof Nation and Laura Silverman, who is tirelessly working in the space and friends of ours. But I'm super excited about today's show. We have two wonderful guests who I've had the rare privilege of meeting in person. Welcome to Andee and Kristin of Loren's AF. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. And so let me set the stage. Kristin is one of the co-founders. They're based in Carmel, Indiana. She also freelances as a digital learning consultant, helping educators and small business owners build accessible online content. So when she's not sipping a glass of alcohol-removed Sauvignon Blanc, she's probably taking a walk on a local trail with her husband, Mike. And Andee, who's the other co-founder, and if you haven't guessed, their sisters, she loves working behind the scenes. So she's, in operations, project management, strategy. She's passionate about amplifying the work of other women business owners, both in the county she lives in and everywhere. And she finds joy in her daughters, her husband, NA Beverages like Kin, who we all have heard about, White Widow, and the Pathfinder. So listen, guys, you all are badasses. You're doing it. Please, I'm so happy to have you here. What's on your mind today?
Dry January.
Dry January. Tell me, how is Dry January working and what's happening in it for you guys?
Andee, I'll start if that's okay. Last year, we noticed traffic really ramp up as the month progressed. That was the pattern we observed. And so I guess we falsely assumed that we could kind of expect a similar pattern this year. Last weekend was off the chain. We were not anticipating such a rush that first weekend in January. So now we've I don't want to say been scrambling, because I don't want to use that word, because Andee and I are ultimately hyper planners, but we've been trying to figure out this inventory flow. Now having two stores, meeting demand, making sure what we have, we have product when people come in. An amazing problem to have, but what we're experiencing right now is, a bigger rush than we anticipated right from the start. Also, working with our suppliers, getting product has been challenging. Lots of emails, text messages, phone calls, trying to get estimated dates because, it's part of our brand, customer relationships. And if they come in and they're looking for something and it's not there, hey, let's come up with a plan that, hey, either we're going to sign you up for this restock notification, we're going to we'll personally let you know, but so they can plan as well.
And so let's, I know I jumped right into it, but let's talk a little bit about the genesis, right? It's like, which the name is brilliant, Loren AF. I mean, it's clever, it's hip, and it says what it is. How did you guys decide to start?
I'm going to jump in again. We really wanted something simple and straightforward. I thank you for that compliment, Duncan. That's awesome about being hip. But really, that wasn't the intention. The intention was we just wanted a straightforward name. Like, this is who we are. We're an alcohol beverages store. We a lot of debate about terminology and semantics when we get into this zero proof space. So we really like alcohol free. We wanted something straightforward. That the AF thing has sort of been in our favor. But then the name is a tribute to our dad, who about the time that this was getting off the ground, we lost him, and he was such a cheerleader for us. I mean, just we loved him dearly, and someone who he wanted his daughters to have every opportunity to succeed, But he'd also say he also wanted them to have every opportunity to fail. He just wanted them to have, that flexibility of choice and believing in their dreams. And he just was such a fierce cheerleader, and he had a cool name, so it's worked out. Andee, what would you add?
I mean, I recently lost my father, and just a few months ago, and that is not something that you can recover from. You cannot recover from the loss of certain people, especially a father, right? And it's a transformation, I think. And we're so tempted in our current culture to say, okay, that's going to make me stronger, and I'm going to make that, I'm going to leverage it. And I say, we honor people, and you make it part of your journey, but it's okay to never be okay again. You're doing amazing work, but you're never going to be okay without your dad. So,
thanks.
That's
someone who's become a real, a true collaborator and friend for us is Maxine Henderson, who's a beverage founder here in Carmel, local. And she too lost her father the same year that we lost ours. And that's something that brings us even closer with Maxine. We have immense respect for her, again, as a partner, but we also feel like we have that special connection as well as trying to navigate the new chapter without our dads.
That's awesome. Shout out to Maxine Henderson. What's her company?
Ollie Good Sparkling Beverages.
Okay, awesome. Shout out to Maxine. Thank you, Maxine, and hopefully we'll meet soon. So that's amazing, and you've had so many challenges along the way, and you're overcoming them. What's kind of been, I guess, some of the secret sauce? Not only are you entrepreneurs, you are sisters. So how do you keep it all together?
I think a major part of that, leaning into the sister aspect, is knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses. Kristin is so talented at the tech piece that I think that has probably been our cutting edge that we've led with for the business. And then also just that customer service aspect of really putting customers first. Now, we have had sort of, I would say, an evolution where clients come in and they say, I've seen this drink on Instagram, or we really are willing to try just about anything and bring it in the store. But I think maybe even in the last year and a half, where we have been ordering lots and lots of different things, I think now we were expanding, and now we're kind of contracting a little bit of really making a good curated experience of products that we believe in and that we love. We recently took on a capital investor that believes in us. We've opened a distribution line to wholesale out to coffee bars, restaurants, hair salons. That's been a huge piece for us as in our growth story. And it's been fantastic, just the response and the people that we've met.
I'll go back to what Andee said about tech. The tech thing has been huge. And that was nice of her to give me that compliment, but we're both like tech hungry people. We love playing with new tools. And that's been a big piece of this, like the collaboration tools, and like Notion, Google Suite. Shopify is our platform, really making sure we're getting the most out of all the features and all those built-in native apps, within Shopify. Looking back, again, I'm still a new entrepreneur, but now, looking back, I do think that people who are starting businesses now in these 2024 and beyond, you have to have some sort of tech, I don't say savvy, some sort of tech confidence that, hey, maybe if I don't know exactly how this software works, but I'm going to figure it out, because that's been a lot of our work. So Andee mentioned the distribution line, and we've sort of been working through that technology piece has been the biggest challenge with figuring out ordering and that sort of workflow. But because we're like these tech, I hungry, right? Because again, we love learning new things and trying to figure out how we can improve processes with technology. That's been a big piece.
I mean, I truly do agree with you. I mean, it becomes your operating system, right? And so your operating system and how it integrates with other pieces. Can you email people? Can you text people? Love the restock notification. I mean, that is freaking fantastic. I mean, how many times have we all been somewhere? I'm sorry, it's out of stock. Of course we understand, but to get a restock notification, it's beautiful marketing because it's like, hey, we're doing this for you, and it's not like, hey, come on in. It's like, we're doing this for you. So that's really great. Is that a common thing in the industry? Because I've never heard of that.
Okay, okay, so this is any Shopify users out there. This is an external app. We'll give a promo to our friend Kartik. I'm not sure where I don't even think Kartik's in the United States. But first of all, we're very selective about installing external apps to our Shopify site from a privacy, like a data privacy perspective. But we feel Restock Notification, Restock Rocket is the name of the app, was essential enough to our business. The way we operate is a big deal. So, what Duncan's talking about is that if someone, let's talk about our sponsor, Tilden, right? They come in, Tilden's out of stock. What we can do right there on the spot is like, you know what? How about you just get a text or email notification the moment it hits our inventory? Sure. So we take the iPad, we sign them up for it right there. But mostly people are doing those restock notifications from home because they can see that, something is out of stock, and then they can know when. And because people they travel distances to come to our store. Andee, what would you add?
I was just going to add, as well-intentioned that Kristin and I and our staff are, and as we're also very human, and writing something down on a Post-it or a notebook or even pen to paper for restock notifications there's such a huge percentage of error. Besides just like wanting to do it and wanting to be grateful and thankful, but the tech piece for the restocking is the way to go.
That's amazing. And I'm curious, in the same vein, like, at the beginning of the supply chain, do you I mean, in the record or the music industry, it's like, Paul McCartney is going to drop a new record. Do you want to pre-order it? Or a movie's coming out, on Amazon. Do you want to pre-order it? Is that something that y'all have thought about doing? Do you do that kind of thing? It's like, I know. When I was in, y'all were still working on getting Tilden in. Would you say, hey, Duncan, Tilden's here?
Pre-ordering, it becomes a little bit tricky in our space right now. I haven't investigated at. Because again, this whole supply demand of right now, where I feel like we're battling a number of suppliers of things that I can name about 5 things right now that I really wanted to be here this Friday for the weekend, and it didn't happen. So that, I guess it makes me nervous. But I think to answer the first part of your question, we're now letting a lot of that reporting data drive some of our buying. And that's where Andee's really taking a close look at what the frequency of notifications, what people are looking for patterns, and doing some reordering based on that. But we also have the data to show it works. And people usually act on it pretty quickly. So for example, Nadi Sarah is a favorite one. A notification went out to a customer this morning. Within minutes, she placed an order for 6 bottles for pickup. So it works.
That's fantastic. And I think let's just say here for a second, the amazingness of being any kind of founder, and especially in an emerging space, with zero proof, AF, as you said, it's like there. And what makes this interview and episode so unique is that you're not on the association side, you're not on the brand side. I mean, you are the front line. You're the retailer. I mean, you are meeting. I'm trying to think. Is it UPS or FedEx that calls it the last mile or the last 100 meters or whatever it is? You're there, you're meeting those people. So I'm going to guess that you know more about people's choices and their reactions than most brands do.
It's interesting. Things, I think the last time we met, Duncan, we were talking about how much we are huge fans of good design, and some things that come in and it's like, oh, this is so cool looking, and that doesn't necessarily work or fit in the space. For instance, there was sometimes people send us little starter packs or little minis that are adorable, But those don't tend to do as well as the full-size bottles or the full experience. And that was something that was surprising to me. So I feel like Kristin and I have a lot of expertise as far as what people truly want and what people are looking for, and also hearing the feedback of what their experience was. Which makes us uniquely situated to start that distribution side because we feel like we have this expertise. But it's very interesting to have this knowledge.
And I love that. I love some of the categories, or if that's the right word, that you mentioned, like salons. It's like you're going to go to the salon. I mean, you're going to be waiting at some point, right? You'll wait. If it's a nail salon, you're going to be waiting to go from, the mani station to the pedi station. Hey, look at me. I know this stuff. Or you're waiting, because your dye is drying, or, there's so many different things, right? Or you're at the spa and it's like, I don't really feel like a cocktail, right? And it's just, it's white space, right? It's beautiful that you identified that. How is that going? And what's that conversion process like? Do you approach them? Do they approach you? Or is it both?
I have an interesting answer for this. That is something where customers came to us and said, hey, I really wish my salon had this. Can I take your distribution menu? I'm like, how lucky are we that we have customers who say, hey, I really want my friend owns a bar, or I go to this restaurant every Friday night after work. Hey, can I tell them about you? Absolutely. I mean, we have our customers doing sort of this ambassador work with us. I don't want to say for us, with us, of spreading the word. And so that's how kind of where the hair salon thing started, was people wanted to tell their salon owners about us.
So I remember, I feel like it was 10, 15 years ago, it became, I mean, I don't know how legal it was, but it became like a thing, there'd be like a, some bottle, there was a bottle there, and you could have a glass of wine. And I remember going there at one point with someone that didn't drink, and I wasn't even there for services, and I was drinking, and they were like, "Well, I don't drink, so what am I going to do? I'm not going to light a joint up in the salon." So it's interesting, right? What I guess what are you seeing in terms of celebrity brands and what's happening in that space? I mean, I'm the one I'm familiar with is Katy Perry. What are you seeing in that space?
I'm surprised more people haven't jumped in, but I'd say our customers seem to be pretty indifferent.
Yeah, I mean, you might love Ryan Reynolds, but yeah, am I really going to go buy the gin because of him? I'm not. But I mean, I don't know about other people, but clearly people did it with George Clooney's brand, but it's interesting. Sorry, you were gonna...
Yeah, I was going to say, just shifting from celebrity endorsed products like Kin by Bella Hadid or De Soie by Katy Perry. I think what is more eye-catching to the people coming in the store are sort of celebrity, big name, recognizable brands. The Budweisers, Heinekens, Blue Moons, Stellas, White Claws. Seeing that makes people do a double take and get excited. And I think that the more that these bigger companies are bringing their things into our store, I think that is a little more eye-catching for our clientele right now. But it's almost kind of just like a little fun factor, like, oh, this is Katy Perry's brand, but we still like it.
Well, and the Katy Perry one, just some additional thoughts. That's kind of, I feel like, a funny brand because, they have these beautiful Instagram feed and the colorful photos, but ultimately it's coming across to customers like it's wine, and it's not wine, right? So people order online and they're like, what is this? I hate this. And it's like, well, no, it's an aperitif. And they don't know that to expect citrus and bitter and, or maybe even, what some of those, adaptogenic ingredients are. And so, and I can name some other brands where I feel like they're marketing it as one thing, but in reality it's another. And so then we sort of have to coach them through that in person.
That's super interesting. I'm a big Pinterest trends guy, just because Pinterest is a slower moving platform in some ways. I love the fact that it's super positive. It's not like, some old dude's not going to fight with you about why women have all the rights they need. all that nasty shit that happens on some platforms. We won't name them, but Pinterest trends are slow moving in terms of like how they gather the data. But I've seen two things I wanted to ask you about in the 2024 and beyond report, based on millions of posts and so on. Tropical is big. Or that's an emerging trend, I should say. They're predicting tropical will be big, and they're predicting that coffee bars, and I'm gonna add my take to that, like mixed use coffee bars, I think are going. What are your thoughts on that? And also sparkling teas.
I have a lot of thoughts, but go ahead, Andee.
I'll just start with the easy one and then hand it off to Kristin. But one of our consistently top selling items in the store that we have a wonderful partnership is Toast, T-O-S-T, which is a sparkling tea. It's beautiful. It's a crowd pleaser. It's vegan. It's gluten-free. It's low sugar. It's a delight to drink. And if you're bringing it to a party where you've got drinkers and non-drinkers, everybody's going to like it. So in that vein, yes, 100%. I'm excited about the tropical drinks. I feel like maybe we might be seeing more of that when people are in a more tropical mood in the Midwest, getting ready for their spring breaks and summer vacations. But I can see a little bit of that now. And then I'll pass it to Kristin for further analysis.
Tropical is interesting because I think we're a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people, their head goes to sugary drink. Mm-hmm. And one of the hardest things we've had to do since opening our stores is debunk this idea that non-alcoholic equals sugary drink. The number of people who come in every day and say, okay, I don't want anything too sweet, or I don't want anything that's really sugary, or like, do you have anything that's dry? Do you have anything that's not sugary? It's like, well, that's most of our drinks. And again, we really favor things that are all natural ingredients, and we really, we're very serious about product selection, but we really sort of almost have to talk people off a cliff a little bit. Like, no, really, like let's look at these labels together. They aren't loaded with sugar. In our previous conversation, where maybe the genesis of this store was more about sobriety and choosing this alcohol-free lifestyle, really, like, it shifted to, like, one of our core values is wellness, and most people who come in are looking to make some health changes or lifestyle changes. And I can't speak for everybody. I can say for where we are on the north side of Indianapolis, people are very much, they look at the ingredient list, they look at the carbs, they look at the sugar, very closely at the nutritional value. Just had a customer Wednesday night a diabetic, again, where we were really looking at breakdown of sugar. So tropical, I don't know that's why I was surprised. I think I know we're on a podcast, but I made a surprise face when you said tropical.
Yeah, I said that. All the people that are listening on Spotify know what's up now. It's interesting. I've heard people say, these are just murmurings, but that we might be looking at the cooling of the kombucha phase. It's like there's a lot of kombucha. Some of the biggest names in kombucha are so sugary. And we're seeing, some of these kombucha brands like diversifying into health sodas, with ashwagandha and lion's mane and so on and so forth. What's your thoughts on kombucha in general?
Well, we sold kombucha locally from a local vendor at our shop, and it did okay, performed okay. I like kombucha. I don't drink it that often as much as I did before. I've got nothing against kombucha. I don't know. What do you think, Kris?
I'll add that, like, things that are outside of beer, wine, spirits, adaptogen drinks don't really perform don't perform as well as items that fall neatly into those categories. So, part of your original question was about coffee. I know you're talking about coffee shops. But even we've done some canned coffees, and even coffee type beers really haven't done that well. What a lot of people I don't want to be generalizing, but there are some pretty big patterns here. People come in and they want a drink that as closely replicates its alcoholic counterpart, or they want something that has some feel good, some functional benefits. So again, things that fall outside of those categories have been tough for us. As much as Andee and I would love to have all this glassware and, fun merchandise, we have to be cautious about not going overboard with it because, again, people come to our store on a mission to buy items that fall neatly within those categories.
And Kristin, I know you're an advocate for the fact that, we need to drink things because they taste good, not because they're mimicking some other, beverage.
Yes. So, Andee is sort of on her final stretch with pregnancy. And, and really truly more of her work is, is operations, strategic, the accounting side. And I've been more on that retail face. And so I guess I'm the one who feels like I'm having that conversation on repeat, right? Like coaching people through wine, that managing expectations. And I guess I always want to be careful about like the language we use. In terms of like, well, what's good? I was like, okay, well, they're all good. I mean, we've been open a year and a half. We've listened closely to customer feedback. Everything's good. But like, if you're wanting something that's going to taste very close to an alcoholic experience, okay, well, then that's a different conversation. But I'm not going to say good equals taste like alcohol because I have to remind people, yes, thinner, yes, lighter, but also we're talking a fraction of the calories without carcinogenic, ingredients. That again, sustainable, farming, like Andee said, vegan, gluten-free, that there's some weighing here that I have to kind of remind people gently.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting, hearing both Mariah and Vanessa, the founders of Tilden, saying it's like, hey, there are a lot of people that want a different kind of buzz. Okay, they want that buzz, but they don't want the buzz from alcohol. They don't want to be hungover. But there is a very fast growing segment of people that the three of us have talked about. They don't want the drink to do anything to them. They want to drink the drink because it's refreshing and it's they're at a party or they're hanging out. They want to relax, but they don't want the drink to do anything to them. That's accurate, right?
Yes. And talking about like just coming up with like out of the box, innovative flavor combinations, proxies. Proxies is so interesting. Here where they're not trying to replicate, the favorite cab or Chardonnay. They're coming up with unique flavor strawberry, rhubarb, habanero. That's interesting. When you put some, combine some of those flavors in a wine, that's cool. And I can appreciate that. Hey, this doesn't taste like any wine I've had before. This just tastes awesome.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not to say that wine isn't awesome, but it's like, hey, I'm not drinking something because it tastes like something else, right? It's like, yes. Hey, eat this new spaghetti recipe I got. It tastes kind of like green curry. It's like I don't want something that tastes like green curry. I want this spaghetti to taste. I know spaghetti is a terrible choice, but
no, it's great.
I something smarter, but anyway. So I mean, a year and a half into this journey, which I'm sure there were months that led up to that, and shout out to your dad for being the inspiration and who you honor here, Loren. But what's coming up? What are you excited about, in the next months?
I'm not at liberty to say everything, but definitely some growth is happening and just momentum. Kris and I have something called a leadership summit where we meet quarterly. We met January 1st at 9 a.m. and spent about 9 hours brainstorming different things that we're going to do for the year and different projects we're excited about, just because we're so excited about all of the possibilities that exist out there. But there's definitely going to be some things in the pipeline that are going to happen this year.
So we can safely say that there were some good drinks consumed in those 9 hours. And that will result.
We had some samples to catch up on, so it was the drinks were flowing. Yes, and
that there will be some tasty surprises from these two dynamic sisters this year. That's wonderful. What else? Is there anything else you want to share today? Or if not, how can people find you?
Well, I do want to just a lot of our focus right now is growing the distribution side of our business, and that has been so joyful because it's partnering with other small business owners, restaurant owners, store owners, and giving them the flexibility to offer alcohol-free options to their customers and patrons. And that has been a lot of fun. And that's probably the biggest one, quarter one goal. As far as finding us, we talked earlier in this conversation about restock notifications, and our website's a big deal. We've made it a goal. We want the best alcohol-free, booze-free bottle shop website out there. That's our goal. We want the best website. Now, we don't ship, but in terms of providing valuable content, we have a blog. We have a pronunciation guide. We have a frequently asked questions that really you can spend that you can really get to know us and get to know the space through our website. So I mention that because what we found is that people pre-shop. So what happens is people check us out online, kind of see what we have to offer, see what's in stock, and then they show up. I can't tell you how many people show up at our stores with their phone in hand, with the website queued up on their browser as they walk in the door and saying, okay, show me this. So the website is a big deal for us. It's not just some little thing project we do on the side that we update when we can. We're really dedicated to making it dynamic, keeping it update with tasting events, and valuable content. So that Loren's AF. But yeah, we try to respond. We get a lot of inquiries, via Instagram, Facebook. So that's another full-time job. But we love it because the relationships we build through those platforms.
And y'all are fast with those responses to Instagram. You all are fast. And I mean, Firebelly is not a website company, but shout out to all the website companies out there. I mean, this is a client that's speaking your language. I mean, your website should never be a one and done thing. It should just be living, breathing. It's like, hey, somebody got promoted, or, we got a new product, or this question is now being asked. So I think it's really cool to see this multidisciplinary approach that the two of you are taking. It's like y'all are operating like a team of 10. So kudos.
Oh, thank you. I will say, lots of people visit the website for lots of different reasons. And we have brand partners who visit us too, that will say, hey, I noticed that you're out of my product, out of stock of my product. Or, hey, I got an updated photo. Would you mind adding it? Absolutely. So in many ways, it becomes this really collaborative project. But yeah, we take the website seriously.
I know there's still in the industry where we're still calling it a trend. Some people are calling it an emerging trend. Some people are calling it an emerging a mega trend. I mean, I like to say that things are just different. Past the pandemic, wellness, as you said, is finally caught on in this country, and we're approaching things differently. So I'm going to ask you, I don't think it's a mega trend. I don't think it's a trend. I think it's just a change. It's a transformation that's happened, and people aren't going to go back for whatever the reasons, but they're not going to go back. Even if it's, I think, Kristin, you said to me in person, we're not trying to convert people away from doing anything. We're offering people the option to do what they want to do, and maybe to try an AF drink a couple times a week. Even if you want to add, if you want to add liquor to it, that's your deal.
Absolutely. And here, the conversation, we started the conversation talking about that last weekend was wild. First full weekend of dry January. And, people come in and, you kind of like the chatter of what brings you in? And, people will say dry January, but they say dry January and I'm looking to make a lifestyle change, which is different than dry January. I'm going to grit through this for 31 days. it's like, okay, yeah, I'm doing dry January, but I'm really looking at making some bigger changes, some bigger shifts, and that's helpful with like, okay, trying to drink matching. We call it drink matching. Making sure they leave with the right items.
I mean, I'll tell you, I had a very difficult day yesterday, and I did not go home and have an alcoholic beverage. I had a recess. So recess and a little, what do you call those little, is it called a coupe cup?
A coupe, yeah.
Coupe, like it's beautiful and tasted great. I was like, so, well, thank you both for your time and being so generous and, also helping us with the next 12 months episode that I think is about to drop. So thank you so much to both of you and everyone here at Firebelly, at the social show. The producers and the production team wishes you the best. And once again, thank you, not just for being here, but thank you for doing this, because it's making the world a better place. And so, as leaders, maybe, we don't hear that often enough, but I wanted to say it to you today.
This has been so much fun. Before we leave, I do want to say, just like you were saying, there really is something to putting these drinks in a beautiful, beautiful glass.
Yes. And you actually, Andee, you did predict that as a trend within the AF space, is we're going to see the emergence of, or not the emergence, but the emphasis on design. Because, I mean, whether you were buying Macs in 2000 when they were just beautiful but not that powerful, or whether you're, buying Swedish furniture or, whatever it is, design does matter. I mean, it's even better when it's design and substantial, but design does matter. So, well, thank you. Thank you for being on the show, to both of you. Thank you. We've been talking to Kristin and Andee from Loren's AF, right?
Yeah.
LorensAF.com.
Yes.
And they're all over social. So wherever you are, check them out. But especially if you are here in Central Indiana, check them out, because it is a transformative experience to experience their warm hospitality and their amazing selection of products. So once again, thank you to both of you.
Thanks for listening to the Firebelly Social Show. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.